The infamous, the one and only Crypto Sunglasses.
Right.
We're also joined by Decker, whose screen name I was gonna say shall not be named, but there's Decker's gamer tag, Cream Daddy.
Yeah, not actually my gamer tag, at Decker Bob on Instagram if you actually want to find me.
At Decker Bobbin.
But that gives the flavor.
We've got the beautiful Allie joining us here today, as well as our spaceship commander, BJ Biscuit Eating Jesus.
What?
What? I don't know. I just added some extra things in there.
Yeah.
As always, the show is not the same without all of you guys. So welcome in 75901, Royals Rowdy, Crypto Thorn, Sofa King, Cryptic, Riddled with Puns, Crimson Caravan Company, Sofa King, B equals Cup. I swear that's a joke, and I'm just reading it wrong.
So Sofa King.
Yeah. Anyway, Prepper Crypto, missing you, man. Hope everything's going well. He is actually in Austin, Texas right now with the one and only Alex Jones on InfoWars.
What up, Prepper Crypto?
Yeah. So everybody's favorite neighbor is going to be back with us in studio next week.
More importantly, Crypto Thorn has beef with AJ.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sweet.
Where's it at?
I don't know. I want to know.
What is it?
I want to
Spill
know.
the
I'll
go.
tea.
Nacho Keys, first time chat. Welcome into Twitch. And if you guys are seeing this anywhere, this is our live show brought to you by Twitch in partnership with Twitch. So check out twitch.tv/bitboy_crypto if you want to join us live and be live here in the chat. We'd love to have you join us. Love hanging out with our basement crew. If you're seeing it anywhere else, just make sure like, follow, subscribe, share, tell all your friends because this is going to be the #1 crypto show in the next bull market, 2024 or 2025. So you want to get in now and be a basement OG, which is something we were talking about last week, where this is the show where we just hang out and talk crypto with our friends. So, hit us with any questions. We're going to be looking at a few different things here today. You've got a vast array of crypto experience, people that live, sleep, eat, breathe, sweat, drink, everything crypto. Basically anything you can think of crypto, this happens in this building.
And poop?
Poop. Anything you can think of.
It's time, chat. It's time to YOLO into basement coin.
Yeah. Let's not do that. We did see somebody earlier said they're looking for their next what did they say? 100x just to get them out of the everyday blue collar life. What was your recommendation, Nick and Decker? You guys were talking about that right before we went live. What was the take on that?
DexTools.io.
Yeah.
So look, if you're in a blue collar job right now, congratulations, you're going to be employed while most of next year lawyers and programmers get fired because of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So you're actually in a great, if you're blue collar, you have job security. So don't look for 100x coin, look for like 10x coins.
Yeah.
But if you're going to buy
What the dog doing?
100x coin, and remember, unlike TJ, everything I say is financial advice.
Right. Sue Nick, not me.
Consider your risk tolerance and look at Neoxa.
Neoxa?
Neoxa.
Interesting.
Yes, it's a proof of work / proof of game, consensus coin. So, they're extremely vibrant with their community. They have an amazing Discord. The proof of game is coming along. They just added Grand Theft Auto 5 servers for their coin. So they're kind of like a sleeper to Matic. They're like an actual currency for gaming, whereas Matic is the backbone for Web3 for social media. Anyway.
Oh no, Razmataz. He says, Good evening, gentlemen, milady. A righteous plague has fallen upon me, a blight of the worst kind. A man cold.
Oh,
So it
no.
is with a heavy heart I write to tell you all I won't be able to attend tonight's stream. I'm going to curl up into a ball and cry myself to sleep. Have a great stream, and as always, stay horny, Razmataz. Thank you, Razmataz. I hope you get
Feel
better
better.
soon.
Drink your
Vitamin
tea.
D.
Those colds are rough. Yeah, you need tea. You need you need zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin D. You're back at it. You know,
Boom.
so
A banana.
Pound those vitamins. Pound that tea.
real quick, I did see. I mean, I don't know if I
Ginger,
talked about
good
it
one.
on this. Yeah, ginger. Not you can drop the whiskey. I don't know if that might help you sleep, but may not help you recover from your sickness. So, the FBI command has a different connotation to it after that swatting video. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, we did release a video that Ben's house got swatted. Did we release that on Sunday night, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah. That happened a little while ago. Pretty crazy story. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out BitBoy Crypto.
I've heard the story, and there's one part, like specifically when Bethany brings up the thing with like her kids that I don't know why I just like immediately teared up. Like,
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
It's
To where
sad.
I was like,
It's really sad.
it's not like it didn't affect me, but that exact point, I was like, I don't know why it just hit so much harder.
It does. It's crazy to realize how easy it is to do, and I don't know.
There's no consequences.
Yeah,
Like,
there really is no consequence. It's very hard to police, very hard to enforce, anything like that. We've
how
learned.
traumatic for those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part I didn't super think about.
I didn't really either until they talked about it and how dangerous it could be at night. You know, have things gone a little bit differently. So, be safe out there, guys. Privacy is very important, obviously, and being thoughtful about other people and the way things affect their lives. You know, like we like to joke, we like to have fun, we like to goof off, but you know, there's some real world implications.
Yeah, we
with a
just
lot of
like
stuff.
crypto.
Yeah.
You know, that's the bait. We like crypto, but when it gets to that level, I mean, obviously you guys watch the video, but
Yeah, and before we've got a few things to talk about today. Top things, you know, an article saying this could be the biggest week of the year for crypto. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. We're going to dig into that.
Yep.
We've got the one and only Arthur Hayes saying Bitcoin is bottomed because everybody who could go bankrupt has gone bankrupt, which, you know, it's probably a little bit debatable.
Every time I see his name, I think of Chef from South Park.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, he's yeah, well, I wonder
Wait, is that supposed to be Kobe?
No, it's Arthur Hayes from BitMEX.
That looks like Kobe. I'm sorry.
What?
What?
It is a cartoon.
I
I'll
do
give
say
you
it's
that.
slightly Kobe-like. Very
No,
slightly.
Oh, Kobe Bryant. You're talking about. I thought you were talking about Kobe, like crypto Kobe. I'm like,
Kobe.
how does that look like Kobe? He's a blonde dude.
Not all
Like,
Yeah.
Kobe's look the same.
yeah,
Jesus.
gotcha.
Wow.
I got it. Yeah, more. Somebody says more Jordan. I could see.
He's
I
a
could see the
Cobist.
Jordan.
He's a Cobist.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool developments with Strike launching in remittances in Africa. I'm going to read a thing from Alex Gladstein, I think is pretty cool. And then the big thing here, U.S. prosecutors look to charge Binance executives for possible money laundering violations. Pretty interesting in the wake of all the SBF stuff. What's up, Hodl Gang? So we'll talk about that also, and then wrap up with a couple different things at the end. But real quick, before we get into that, you had mentioned ChatGPT replacing people at the top of the show, Nick. I know you guys last Friday talked about it a decent amount. I had this thought, and I just wanted to bounce it off of you guys because obviously anytime there's new technology developments, you see a lot of fear. You see a lot of people specifically, I mean, obviously you do research and writing and content, writing content. That's what this thing is. It's easy to look at that and say like, oh no, this thing is going to replace my job. And then I had the thought like, okay, well, a writer being afraid of ChatGPT replacing it is almost like a mathematician saying, oh, now that there's this thing called the computer, I'm irrelevant. But if anything, the computer just made mathematicians superpower. Like it just gave them superpowers that enabled them to do so much more. And so I see ChatGPT the same way. I just wanted to get your take on that as a writer.
So, as someone in the creative industry, and I say every industry is creative, there's just ones that take a different type of creativity. So, like programmers are highly creative. I could never do their job, but also most programmers could not write a screenplay. They couldn't do my job. So, when I'm saying creative, we all know what we mean, but I'm not trying to be disparaging. But when it comes to the more procedural arts, something like programming or even being a lawyer, which lawyering is essentially programming for society. So they're both the same thing. In essence, that there is a big risk factor to people who are not thinkers and just worker bees losing their job. We're in almost peak hysteria for ChatGPT and like what do they call it? Human conversation AI.
Yeah.
So we're almost at like peak hype. Everyone says it's like end of the world. They're going to lose their jobs. There's going to be mass unemployment. Yeah, I don't think that's actually going to. It never plays out that way. Like that's what everyone said when telephones were able to like automatically route, and then all these telephone operators went out of business. It just created like 3 new jobs for every job that it created.
This is exactly what I was going to say. It's like the creative destruction or the frontier of creative destruction. It's like, all right, as soon as cassettes are gone, CDs are in place. But guess what? We need people that know. We have a whole new industry now of CDs.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things where you have to learn how to use it though, because I still think it is important to note that if you're not a thinker in general, you should always probably be worried. But like you want to take this with a stride rather than take it as like a backstep.
So so the idea, and this I actually was listening to the speech of the guy who runs OpenAI. He says the incremental cost of knowledge is going to go to 0. And I think there's some truth to that, but the incremental cost of critical thinking is going to go way up.
Yeah.
Because what you can't do is you can't just assume what the AI is telling you is true.
Right.
Right? Because the AI is only as good as the information that's been fed into it.
It's training, basically.
And as soon as we see these large-scale disinformation campaigns where it's essentially going to be like cyber warfare, instead of you going after a server, sovereign nations are going to go after a country's AI models and just dump bad information into it so that the AI models are no longer useful. So your ability to think critically that is going to be your greatest asset over the next 10 years.
Well, and that's what I was getting at too. I think you guys brought up some really good points. Adaptability and like you want to be able to understand what the pros and cons of this new technology are, and then adapt to them and be able to learn how to use it better than other people. And that's how you elevate yourself and move dramatically faster. Because, like you said, the human is going to have to check the AI, not the other way around, especially at least for a while. And eventually you'll get more and more, and where you start to trust it better and better. But right now, even ChatGPT, it makes some inferences that are definitely inaccurate based on the information it has. So it takes us going back and training it, and that's why it's built in to have the like, dislike, give it feedback. And then that's what's so fascinating about machine learning is it just gets better and better over time. So for me, I immediately started thinking, like when you first look at it, you're like, all right, I'm going to ask it a question. And then you ask it a random question. You realize, oh, it's not a question and answer machine. It's something that's designed to write. So I'm going to ask it to do this. I was telling BJ beforehand, I showed this to you just out of curiosity. I was like, okay, it supposedly can write some Python stuff. So I said, write me a Python script for aggregating information from Instagram into an Excel spreadsheet, and then just boom, 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 boom. Like if you could start to see, okay, it's referencing this, it's pulling from that, it's aggregating this, sell here, sell there. Now, again, it may not be a perfect script. It may have some, things to tweak and some stuff like that, but now you can have general scripting done in a much more efficient way, and then you can utilize that. But if you didn't think to ask it that, obviously, you don't get there. So to me, it's something I'm going to play with a little bit more this year. I even had an idea about maybe doing a playlist either on this channel or maybe even a whole channel that was. Maybe I shouldn't give it away, or somebody else will do it first. But
keep that to yourself.
Yeah, I'll hold that one. Stay tuned for some really interesting AI content coming next year. So, all right, let's move this along. So, biggest week of the year when it comes to crypto. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. The Bitcoin price action sideways since FTX, which, golly, talk about a boring week in crypto. I think it was 0.4% change. Let me look. In the last week on Bitcoin. Yeah, 0.49. We've been sitting right at 17, basically, for a week straight, which is boring. But we've got some interesting stuff coming up this year. According to this, most important CPI print forms key focus. The phrase on everyone's lip this week is Consumer Price Index, the key measure of the consumer price inflation in the United States. While coming every month, the latest CPI print due on the 13th, which is today's the 12th?
12th,
yeah. Due tomorrow for a month of November, has additional importance for the market with 2 weeks to go until the end of the year. The chances of a risk asset, quote-unquote, Santa rally, for instance, now hang in the balance, which I don't know. I don't see much of a rally. I mean, what's a rally these days? Like 17.2 or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Because I also saw Amazon's not laying off, but they're not hiring drivers nearly as much. And it's like a first time they've ever done that during a holiday season.
Telling you don't buy anything.
Jeff Bezos said that.
Yeah, CPI report Tuesday, Fed rate hikes, and Jay Powell speaks on Wednesday. Stay tuned for the volatility, which, we've got the Fed meeting, happening the 13th and 14th. And I guess he'll speak Wednesday. Now, 14th is Wednesday?
Yep.
So he'll speak immediately following the meeting briefly, and then there's minutes that come out a couple days after that or something like
probably
that.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. A higher than expected CPI print and more hawkish Fed have the potential to invalidate this rally like we saw in the April and August reversals. On the other hand, another disinflationary print could see many chances of a continuation of the rally into year end. So we all know we're expecting basically it's 50 basis points right now, kind of working their way back down. They've been doing 75 for the last, I think, 4 in a row. So I would assume, let's have the expectation in here. Yeah, let's look. So I would assume if it hits the
There's a 50 basis points probability of 75%.
Yeah, 75% here for 50 basis points. Also describing this week as the biggest of the year financial commentary resource. Nonetheless, had warnings for investors. Imagine the madness of the Fed doesn't pivot or November CPI is above October 7.7 print. And so what do you think? Now, we were talking right before the show. They measure it year over year. It's looking like the expectation is, or the October's print was 7.7, which was a slight tick down, which is what they wanted to see. It was a little bit less than what was expected. Do we think we're going to see another, it's going to be less than 7.7 in this one?
I think it will be just simply for the fact that fuel is going down in price. So there's not going to be any meaningful drop in inflation for anything other than fuel. but they'll still tout it as some giant win for the economy.
Right.
So, and just looking forward, Janet Yellen's interview with 60 Minutes saying, oh yeah, we expect inflation to be not nearly as bad next year. Well, I'm sorry, like no shit, because we've had unbelievable inflation all year. And so it's calculated year over year. So if we get to this time next year and we're still printing over 5% inflation, that's like apocalyptic for the economy. I mean, the people will be rioting in the streets. Bread will be like, $7 a loaf or something like that. It will be very bad. So she's kind of like, I don't know. She's lying. I mean,
at
of
least
course.
the fractional reserve's not at 0%. I mean,
Oh, really? What is that, like
terrible if it was.
0.1% now?
No, it's
No, it is at 0%.
Oh, okay.
it was
Yeah, it's
just-
still at 0.
yeah.
I'm
So-
being facetious.
Yeah. I don't see how it's going to go, how it's going to rock the boat. But then the jobs report scared Powell. And so I think there is a possibility of it being more than 75%.
Yeah. Well, and there's a quote in here that says, this is why you don't want a Fed controlled market. I mean, there is a chance that like, oh, we didn't see as, when you say the jobs report, they will want unemployment going up. It's not going up as fast as they're expecting it to. Another way to do that is another big raise here. And I think that would really, if it was to come in at 75 instead of 50, I think that would have a really harsh effect.
Oh, yeah.
That could be something that would send markets down to that $10,000 level. A lot of people are talking about, I don't know. We'll see. What are you laughing at over there, BJ?
Just the guy.
The hater in the
but-
chat.
Well, I don't know if it's.
Why would anyone listen to these dumbasses? And I was just saying, you're here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say,
What are you listening for?
It's Dot Robin. I think he was in here last time. It's fine. You're welcome to hang out if you want to hang out. If you
Thanks
don't,
for the engagement, dumbass.
Well, I was like, benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's talking about Elizabeth Warren and all the people we're just not.
Oh, sure.
no.
He's
He
talking about us.
came in hot. I saw him.
Yeah,
okay.
It's fine.
Sorry, buddy.
I don't mind a little
more grifting
tension
today?
in the chat. Yeah, that's what he came in with. So
I love it.
we'll drop your channel in the chat, and we'll come watch your channel and let you know what we think about your content too. I'm sure you have great knowledge and great information, and you'd love to share it and help everybody as much as you can.
Yeah.
And so we applaud that if that's what you're doing. If you're just coming in here to spread hate and tell people they're doing it wrong, like I said, I always encourage people to go do it better.
Hobby.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if you can do it better, go for it, man.
Go
like,
do
there's
it.
nobody stopping you. Now, I'm not trying to be diplomatic. I just, look, if they want, I'm open to hearing all sorts of feedback. So, how about Elon Musk over the weekend on Twitter? Anybody
Bro,
seen some of
he
those
was on
tweets?
fire.
What happened?
He's growing on me on some of these tweets.
Yeah,
No.
it said his pronouns are prosecute/Fauci.
Yeah, I saw
Wow.
it. And, well, that was just one. He had a lot
Yeah.
of them that were, they had people coming back on the misinformation stuff. And I mean, there was just, Elton John apparently is leaving Twitter because,
Oh, no.
because Elon's letting misinformation propagate. And so he asked him, like, well, what specifically? And, no reply.
He said, if we don't, or nothing matters if we don't defeat the woke mind virus.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, and it reminded me so much of what Ben talks about when it comes to his policy of like, if we can't solve freedom with Bitcoin, like if we can't get a decentralized system, nothing else is going to matter because we're going to be completely controlled. Look at the World Economic Forum's plan, and it's the same concept. Like if we can't defeat that mindset, nothing else matters. We're all going to be living in cages eventually.
TJ, I've been trying to figure out a way to pitch a thing for Ben to do a dramatic reading of the Cypherpunk manifesto because it's only just one page long, but like a shocking, I would say, hit +1 in the chat if you have read the Cypherpunk manifesto, and -1 in the chat if you have not read it. The fact that I imagine most of our chat may not know it, but no one on crypto Twitter is familiar with it. But it's something that we preach every day, and Ben preaches every day on the channel.
Okay, and so you're saying like a video? How long do you think? How many words?
Like
is
a dramatic reading with a campfire or a fireplace behind him, and he's in a chair, leather chair, just something funny.
Do it. Let's
Yeah.
get him a
Read it.
Santa suit.
Santa suit, yeah.
Do a
that'd be great.
fireside chat reading in the new
Yeah.
house. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, see, most people have not read it.
Yeah,
I
I
definitely haven't read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I've read it.
Yeah, I think it's Adam. No, it's not Adam Back. Adam Newman? No. One of the OGs, like the OG person who had the Cypherpunk newsletter, it's still hosted online, and it's just like a notepad document.
Satoshi
like
Nakamoto.
simple Web 1.0 website, and that's it. It's a Cypherpunk manifesto. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
got
here's
one page.
Eric Eric Hughes.
Eric Hughes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this I've just pulled it up. Yeah, it's pretty short here. You guys can find it. Yeah. So we'll save this for another day.
Yeah, it's definitely for another day.
But
Yeah,
you were
93.
talking about the unemployment stuff. Here's some of the graph you had dropped in the chat
Yeah.
here. It looks like here's a big spike, obviously, in 2020, which immediately this is fascinating how fast that reset.
Yeah.
With government created jobs, most likely, I would assume, or pandemic related or pandemic relief related stuff. There you go. Now you guys can see. So here we are. It's starting to tick back up here in 2022. But really, have they set a goal of where they want it? Like, what is considered enough? Unemployment. Do you know?
They have not. They've been purposefully vague about that.
Right.
And it's almost an impossible metric to hit because the labor force participation rate is at an all-time low. So they cannot bridge the gap.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean by that? I'm
The
not
labor force participation rate is at an all-time low. There's a 7 million job gap
Right.
between available jobs and available workers.
Oh, okay.
So they basically want to increase unemployment so wages go down so people spend less money. Here's the problem with central banking is the only way they can fix their own fucking problem is to impoverish the middle class. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No,
Like, I get riled up about
No,
it.
you're right. They pretty much have to wipe out the middle class, and if you can make that jump over that chasm, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger
Yep.
to the other side to be upper class. Like you're gonna have, meaning you hold assets, things are working in your favor. The monetary policy benefits you instead of working against you. Right now, it very much so works against the middle and lower class. It's all designed, created to favor people that have assets and understand tax
That
law.
are closest to the spigot of
Right,
money.
closest to the center, as they say, closest to where the money is coming from, where it's getting printed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's true as a nation for us in the world. It's true within our nation from upper, middle, and lower class. But realistically, that's why the United States stays so far ahead of Africa and third world, second world countries, because every time we tick up just a touch on the dollar, their currencies are getting devastated, and it's starting to hit home here too, because that's where you're seeing the unemployment and the wage. Like he just said, they want to see wages going down for a lot of jobs and unemployment going up, meaning less people working, getting paid less. And it's part of the result of technology. You can produce the same, and you're trying to produce it for less money, and you're just pushing people to the wayside. And it's getting a little dire out there when it comes to assets. Now, that being said, with Bitcoin, Arthur Hayes, you guys, or AKA Broken Kobe Bryant, was saying Bitcoin bottomed as everyone who could go bankrupt has gone bankrupt. And I wouldn't say could, but I would say maybe the most likely to go bankrupt. The obvious bankruptcies have happened at this point. Arthur Hayes, former BitMEX CEO, which definitely knows a lot about trading, knows a lot about markets and Bitcoin, been in the space for a long time, seen, now debatable on, the ethics of BitMEX. Of, those of you who don't know, they've been in, I think it's still ongoing case with the CFTC for a very long time. BitMEX, like Arthur Hayes might have been a Do Kwon of the past, so to speak, but he definitely understands markets, definitely understands Bitcoin, and I tend to agree with this sentiment for the most part.
Corey gave Dutroban a tier 1 sub.
Oh, nice! Way to go, Corey! What a true
guy.
gentleman. Thanks for gifting Dot Robin the sub there. I hope
I like Doe Trobin.
Sorry, yeah, Dot
Doe
Robin.
Trobe.
I
Yeah,
don't
well,
like his name,
who knows?
Dutroban.
I was just assuming he's a dot guy,
Yeah,
but.
yeah.
Cypherpunk Cryptic. Oh yeah.
When you look at the balance, this was a pretty good point that he brought up, and this is something Ben and I have mentioned when it comes to a lot of the Bitcoin. He said, when you look at the balance sheet of any of these heroes, there's no Bitcoin on it because what do? They sold the Bitcoin as they were going bankrupt. They sold the Bitcoin during the wave before they went bankrupt. So he's talking about, if you're looking at these hedge funds, if you're looking at these DeFi protocols, the balance sheets are pretty blank of assets because they've sold a lot of their Bitcoin or traded it trying to remain solvent. I think this was a pretty funny tweet he had there, but I lost my spot. He said, I can't demonstratively prove that all Bitcoin held by these failed institutions was sold during the multiple crashes, but it does look as if they tried their best to liquidate the most liquid crypto collateral they could right before they went under, which is logical. Like if you've got liquidity and assets sitting there and you're trying to save it, you're pulling it out, you're moving it, and it's locked up a lot of the Bitcoin. Any Bitcoin that is left, any of these assets are parts of lawsuits now, whether you're talking about the Celsius stuff, the BlockFi stuff, it's all locked up in these creditors and, settlement lawsuits that have to get worked out.
You know who has liquidity?
Who's that?
At Cream Daddy.
Oh my god.
There it is.
There it is.
Thanks for watching The Basement, guys. Great
Boom.
show. We'll see you next
BJ,
week.
I never know what BJ's gonna say.
Yeah, I don't either.
TJ's
So-
in like a super serious
Yeah.
conversation about crypto stuff.
Yeah, and then I think he's about to come in with something valuable, and no, just Cream Daddy on the face.
Assume there's no value, just like XRP.
Yeah.
BJ is the XRP of guests.
Hey yo, I kind of like
That's
that
mean, BJ. That's very mean. I shouldn't have
Hey,
said
I
that.
got you on calling it JavaScript coin.
That's right.
I made fetch happen.
Shout out to all the XRP army people that hate me on TikTok.
I don't know. BJ's Doge.
BJ's Doge. Yeah, he's just here to. That's
He's the
true. He's just here to
meme.
troll
He's
everybody,
here
and
to
it's
meme.
working, right?
just
Yeah.
waiting.
Like he's the guy that it starts as a joke, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, he's way ahead of us. He's winning, guys.
He's
What's
waiting
going
for
on?
utility.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. We're seeing a lot of exhaustion. I thought maybe I didn't hit it in this other one. They talked about it again. Supply shock ratio nears a 10-year high, which we're starting. We're seeing that here. With look at this, man. That's a supply shock right there.
Wow.
They've got it right here. He says Bitcoin miner selling is over, which we've seen. There's no reason why you would hold on if you had an urgent need for fiat to remain an ongoing concern, given that almost every major
Centralized lending firm.
centralized lending firm has either ceased withdrawals, pointing to insolvency at best, or gone bankrupt. There are no more minor loans or collateral to be liquidated. I mean, here's the graph right here. If that's not minor capitulation, and I don't know if we can.
Here's a very dumb question. How feasible would it be for an exchange to somehow use a mixer and something else and get their assets onto cold storage and then make it look like they're insolvent or look like they were bankrupt and they're actually just moving funds around?
An exchange to do that?
Yeah. I know that's insane, but
It would take a long time because
It
if they engage their exchange wallet with Tornado Cash, everyone would see it.
Yeah. That's the first thing I think of.
They'd have to slowly titrate funds away to the other wallets. It would take a long time.
Yeah, I think they'd be rather than using a mixer. And again, if they didn't, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, just more getting at, is there a way to make it look like you're insolvent and not to kind of set up and, there's this new exchange that just came out of nowhere and you're like, where'd the money come from? Oh, it's been there.
Yeah, I mean, it would just. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would just say, when it comes to the account, especially the bankruptcy process, there's no dollar unaccounted for. So I just can't imagine them being able to get away with something like that when everybody's digging through the books at the end of the day. Although that's assuming they don't go bankrupt. If they don't go bankrupt. But.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to say, there's a handful. I assume the motivation there is to create more fear and profit off of that somehow.
Yeah. Essentially.
What are you guys laughing at?
It's so freaking cryptic.
Not
Yeah.
saying.
As liquid. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is an interesting question. Yes, you could. I think you could feasibly do that. It would be difficult, and you'd have to use. It would be a lot of different wallets, and let's just jump ahead because we're gonna.
It's a great segue.
It was a great segue to U.S. prosecutors look to charge Binance executives on possible money laundering violations. So now this is
the curve.
Yeah. No, you were. I mean, and this is interesting. This is interesting that it's coming up in light of all of the FTX news that's been going on recently. Obviously, a lot of people wanting pressure to be put on FTX. And at this point, it seems like Binance is getting back into the center of attention. Now, this is an ongoing thing. I think it's been happening, going on since 2018. A lot of it is around KYC, ALM laws, basically the United States wanting stricter regulation on Binance about where they operate, how they operate, and some of those sort of things. U.S. prosecutors are considering criminal charges against crypto exchange Binance and individual executives, including CZ as the founder, which is interesting that they're talking about targeting executives and the exchange. Department of Justice also discussed possible plea deals with Binance lawyers.
Of course they did.
I would say they probably know they're not going to have.
Are they considering anything for FTX right now? Or are they just not considering it?
Well, that's what's so fascinating to me. It seems very interesting timing that this is all over the news circuit everywhere, that, Binance is getting looked into. We also had, this was going on over the weekend. And this was a little bit interesting. I don't know if you saw any of this on Twitter. Binance suspends account of longtime customer for being unreasonable. This is Coin Mamba. Is a big time crypto trader. Definitely moves a lot of weight. and basically was complaining has had issues with Binance in the past. And they came out, I think CZ even tweeted that they had set his account to withdraw only, basically offboarding mode. They didn't want to deal with the headache anymore. Now that's what they said on Twitter. Let's see. Good morning. Let's see if I can find the threads. See, good morning. Not looking likely that I will ever get my funds back. Binance can easily check their records. So part of it came out of, it looked like some type of an exploit through API keys on a position that got liquidated. Maybe it shouldn't have been liquidated. He reached out to support to try, now this is all according to Twitter. This is just according to my reading on Twitter over the weekend. CoinMamba reached out to Binance, explained the issue. They asked specific questions about the size of his position so that they could look into it, etc.
That's a little personal.
Yeah, well, yeah. Then once they came to they basically sent him a thing back saying, look, we're not going to be recovering your funds, which I don't know if he necessarily even wanted his funds recovered, just wanted them to fix the issue. And rather than doing that, they just more or less, offboarded him. And here's the deleted tweet, that CZ did. On top of the 3 commas, I'm actually thinking of putting at CoinMamba's account in offboarding withdraw only mode. We don't want to service people who are unreasonable, just more problems down the road. It's a two-way street. Might get a lot of flack, but ... Now that's recently been deleted. What do you guys think? I mean, this is kind of comes into the discussion of, private business. You can represent who you want to the whole cake maker making a cake for whoever kind of situation. Like, what do you think about CZ saying we're going to just offboard him because I don't want to deal with headaches? Good look, bad look, reasonable, unreasonable. What do you guys think?
I think it just makes decentralized exchanges far more bullish.
I agree.
If we're going to insolvency and everything else, but like the entire point,
isn't it insolvency? Are you adding an extra L in there on purpose?
Probably. I can't pronounce anything.
I didn't know. Like, are you saying insolvency?
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Is it like a guy named Solomon did this?
Yeah, Solomon did it.
Yeah, okay.
But nonetheless, the point of crypto is the decentralization, and this is just more and more proof that it's like you need to take your own responsibility in this entire space. So it's like he can do whatever he wants, and that's fine. He should do it, and we should just move to decentralized exchanges and stop supporting things like this.
I agree 100%. And on that
+1
note,
BJ.
Solomon.
I'm
I'm going to show everybody a cool new trick.
Oh.
Speaking of decentralized exchanges, if you guys aren't familiar with Apex, I would highly recommend you test this exchange out if you like to trade. Now, this is from the creators of Bybit. It's very similar to that interface. However, it's no KYC and 100% self-custody. So this is not a centralized exchange. You are holding all of your funds at all times. You connect a wallet, and you're connecting it to your wallet, and you're trading within your wallet, and there is no withdrawing profits because you are self-custodying it the whole time. We're just now starting to play with it. To BJ's point, I'm a pretty big believer in decentralized exchanges. I feel like by the time we get to I think 2023 is the year that DEXs will proliferate, and we'll see a lot of them coming out, and then a handful of them will win, kind of like we saw with Uniswap. And then 2024 and 2025 will be mostly on decentralized exchanges rather than centralized exchanges over time. I would not be surprised. Yes, that's the Bybit deck. I would not be surprised if Bybit itself is completely wound down by 2025 or 2026, or at least a lot smaller than it is now, and most of the transactions are happening on this. I will, as soon as we wrap up, drop a link in the chat or description or whatever.
When it says multi-chain, can I connect like a Nami wallet? Or
I believe so.
I believe you can. Yes, I haven't.
Oh, damn.
Do they have Cardano?
They do.
I believe they do have Cardano. Yeah, and so it is multi-chain, self-custody, no KYC.
Who
so
started them? This
Bybit. It's the same people that were behind Bybit is the team that put this together. I've gone through the demo. It's very good UI, very good. Orders fill quick. Like it won't feel like a DEX. It will feel like you're trading on a centralized exchange. Now, if you're doing like bazillions of dollars, I don't know about the liquidity, but that's something to test. If you're not doing $1 million plus trades, you're probably going to be fine.
And Hellfire said, or no, somebody said something. If I'm bullish on cake, yeah, I definitely was. Like in 2021, I loved PancakeSwap.
Yes. Yeah. Cake. Yeah. Sounds interesting. Then you drop. Yes, I will drop the link at the end of this. Yes, you will need a VPN, and I would recommend guys use a VPN as much as you can. Privacy is very important. You don't need all these big tech companies capturing all your data, everywhere you go. So VPNs. There's a lot of pluses to them as time goes on.
mean,
So-
Yeah, I run one
with a Raspberry
24/7
Pi.
on my phone. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, at least at home, if you don't need very good coding at all, but grab a Raspberry Pi like a Pi 4, and you can
Oh,
actually
God.
code your own. It's not oh god, like dude,
Oh,
like
God.
how are you gonna get that information when I'm the only one who controls it versus like Surfshark, Shark, or anyone else? Like a government agency can make them give up the information. Like build your
true.
own VPN.
Yeah, they can. I mean, we've seen it happen time and time again within crypto and blockchain and a variety of other industries. Like, if
And
you're
you're not
running a
paying
business, it's very hard to say no to the United States government. I mean, it is a bit of a racket, just to say it nicely. But real quick on this CZ and Binance thing, we got a tweet from Wendy here. I want to see if you guys agree or disagree. If the U.S. comes after CZ or Binance instead of FTX, then it's most likely true FTX was a ploy to push predatory regulation and destroy all of our liberty. We're watching it play out now. Remember all the negative headlines about Binance during the bull market.
Yep. Shout out to Wendy for following me on TikTok now.
Hey, yeah, crypto sunglasses on TikTok blowing up. I see more crypto sunglasses TikTok than I do anything else. So,
Oh, God.
what do you guys agree, disagree? Do you think this is predatory? This is all set up for predatory regulation, or do you think it's just very coincidental timing?
My initial gut reaction to this is that, again, I don't want to be the guy who gives people benefit of the doubt, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's literally just a section of people working. It's probably a section of people working on this whole Binance thing for the last 3 years. And this FTX team is over here and they completely are separated. They don't talk to each other. And all of a sudden it's just this media grabbed this headline this morning to try to get something spicy. I'm not sure that it's a legitimate play for predatory regulation, although it could be. But that's
Like, I want to know who's heading it up, because right now it's just someone's interested, right? Like, there's no like
Department of Justice.
Yeah, but like who
who's
in
like-
there? Who's
yeah.
the prosecutor going after it? Because that way we could tie in some collusion. But to Decker's point, yeah, I mean the deep state, usually the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing in most cases. On only a few concerted ways, COVID-19
Oh, so wait,
are
so
they
the-
actually
So the
coordinating?
government works as a ZK rollup?
Zero knowledge.
Yeah.
One hand
Oh, wait,
doesn't
no,
know what
they're
the other
just
hand is
zero
doing.
knowledge.
Yeah, just
Never
zero
mind.
knowledge,
They're
no
just-
roll up. Yeah.
There's zero knowledge and optimistic.
Yeah. It does say that it came out of the office in Seattle, but yeah, it doesn't list specifically who the prosecutor is. It says other prosecutors believe that more evidence needs to be gathered before a criminal case can be filed. So that's what's interesting is it's split.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted a criminal case. Yeah, basically money laundering. Basically, which is what they use to get everybody. A lot of it comes to sanctions in Iran
Wire fraud.
and allowing trades on their Iranian-based exchange and basically saying, U.S. doesn't do business there, so you shouldn't be allowed to do business there either, more or less. Or like we've sanctioned them and you're operating there, so we're coming after you for money laundering or wire fraud because you're using the U.S. banking system.
Yeah.
It's very.
Go ahead.
I should say it's very bizarre the way they can really they can flex that muscle across the entire world at will based on very specific things that they put in place, and it's very selective enforcement, and that's part of the issue there. And I'm trying to see, it doesn't say who's pushing this.
Yeah, 75901. I want to push back. There is zero knowledge in all our government. Look, there are a lot of, you could trim the fat in the government and it would be as big as most other world economies. But don't for a second think that it's just all stupid people, because there are, if anything can tell you, if you've been watching and reading the Twitter files, like there are operators within the government that are highly motivated and wield the power that they have and the power of the deep state with impunity. And there's a saying that's always stuck with me. I learned this when I was in my 20s. It's the gears of the government grind very slow, but very fine. So don't ever think for a second that you're ahead of them or they won't catch up to you. And when they do get you, you will be crushed underfoot. And on the back end of it, you'll just be pulp. So don't ever assume that your enemy is stupid.
That is true. There's definitely a lot of intelligent people working very hard to achieve a very specific goal.
And they're not just intelligent, TJ, they're power hungry. They are the people who are working in government. If you're working in business, you want to do it because you want to make money. Right? But in government, you're not getting that much money. You're there to flex power.
Yeah.
You have a power complex.
It's like that first scene in Game of Cards where he's like, there's two tracks in Washington. You can take the money track or the power track. Like the lobbyist money, you're getting paid big money to do this. not getting paid a lot this, but you're getting, on the power track, you're not getting paid in dollars necessarily. You're getting a lot of leverage over other people that you can basically use to enforce your wills or your desires.
Exactly. Yeah. 75901. Biden is a sock puppet. You should fear who is controlling the sock puppet.
Yeah, it's like that sock under the bed somebody was talking about.
Hey,
earlier,
there it is. It all comes full circle.
Liquidity
That's why you're the host, TJ.
Yeah, you gotta work
why you're
on
the
it.
host.
Oh my gosh.
So let's shift gears here a little bit on the regulation. Let's go on the Binance stuff. Not as much conspiracy is like is this coordinated, but we've also got the big news over the weekend. There's kind of two tracks. One, well, actually three. There was a lot of Binance stuff this weekend. Okay, one, him removing that one individual. Is it right or wrong? Two, we've got DOJ potentially looking at it. But the really big thing is, and there's a lot of confusion around this in general right now, proof of reserves. Some people saying, oh, Binance failed their proof of reserves audit. And Binance was trying to set the standard on how to do a proof of reserves audit. There's some back and forth. I don't know if I've got it here, but there was some back and forth about some of CZ's tweets where basically said, oh yeah, I think it's in here. Yeah, where he says basically if exchanges have to move a bunch of stuff around before and after an audit, that's bad news. Be very careful. But that's exactly what happened with Binance. They had to move, I think it was $2.7 billion, 157,000 Bitcoin or something like that, or maybe it was 500,000 Bitcoin.
It was 127,000, I think.
How much?
127. It said down lower.
Yeah, it did.
127,000. You said.
I really got to start highlighting this stuff.
BTC.
Yeah, it says, yeah,
I know.
2.7 billion, and they said it was. I remember them coming out and saying it was, for a hot wallet within Tron. They said the audit company forced them to do it. The audit company didn't say what the standards were. They did say Binance set the standards, so there's confusion. I know Jesse Powell's been all over almost everybody's proof of reserve saying this is all BS. Basically, you got to do X, Y, and Z. You can't count negatives accounts. You can't count, you have to cover liabilities, yada, 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 yada. Again, I think a lot of this, in my opinion, like it's good, get some more transparency within centralized exchanges. But in my opinion, the issue wasn't really having one-to-one reserves wasn't the problem. I feel like FTX could have come up with a bogus audit if they wanted to. So it's like this is all just noise and misdirection, and it's not really accomplishing much in my opinion. Go ahead.
Still want proof of liabilities. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's saying, where's the proof of liabilities? And they're not going to do it because it's changing, it's moving, and it's a lot of work, and it exposes them. I feel like it's great. I guarantee Binance has the most crypto, but they probably have the most liabilities. And you start matching them one-to-one, it becomes wash. That's part of what I liked about BitGet is they don't have any debt. They are debt-free. They had 240%, collateralization or proof of reserves, more than one-to-one, where I think this one was like 101%. Basically, they've got it just exactly what they're supposed to have. So to me, I think a lot of this proof of reserves is going to become a whole lot of nothing once we're all done with it. We are just going to move to decentralized exchanges. Because what are you having to, like, the whole point of proof of reserves is trying to remove trust, right? Well, you still got to trust the auditor. You still got to, you got to trust several people along the way that things are getting done the right way. There's no lying, and it's all so-and-so said it has to be done this way. So-and-so said it has to be done this way. Well, it was done this way. It's, to me, it just is a bunch of extra work and running around that's not really accomplishing much. And we need to move more towards decentralized exchanges and decentralized transactions in general as we, into 24 and 25. The question is, will we be able to do that, or do you think that DCCPA will still go through? Because that basically kills decentralized exchanges from operating, or at least as far as operating within compliance of the law.
Oh, this is important. Who would win an MMA fight? Crypto Crow or Andrew Tate?
Crypto Crow.
Crow's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, and he's also an ex-MMA fighter as well.
He's
and
huge.
he has what, like 100+ pounds on?
Yeah.
And Andrew
Tate's
Tate,
like, what, 170?
Andrew Tate's like half blind.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew Tate's a great fighter. I think he's a
phenomenal in his weight class.
kickboxer, right? But it's just like size. When you're fighting, size matters, guys. Weight matters. There's a reason they do all those things.
Yeah,
like
Crow's what, 7 feet tall, like 300 and some pounds.
7-footer. Yeah, it'd be tough.
That's a big boy. With
That's
a big
old
reach.
Yeah, and again, he's trained as well. Like it's not like he doesn't fight. Maybe if you could take a trained fighter against somebody that was that big, untrained, maybe there's a chance. Because that a fighter knows how to pick their shot and just avoid. But No,
Yeah,
my money's
He's
on
got both,
My money's
yeah.
on Crow.
It's
Sorry.
like
Yeah.
Sakaruba doing the heel hook on Butterbean.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Jackass.
any Butterbean clip is worth watching,
Oh, hell.
in my
Oh
opinion.
gosh, I love Butter.
He's never made a
should
bad
have told me we
video.
would have pulled up a Butterbean clip
Dang
for
it,
this.
man.
So.
Yeah,
Someone where
but
he
go back
lays
to
out
what's that?
Steve-O. He lays out
Oh, yeah, that's
Steve-O
the first Jackass.
in the
Of course he
jewelry
does. He's
store or
huge.
something.
Yeah.
Oh my, he literally knocks him out.
Going back
see.
to proof of reserves, yeah,
Sorry.
this speaks to like the Oracle problem with
Yeah.
all smart contracts. It's like, yeah, you can have your real estate done on NFT, but ultimately it comes down to Linda in the title office making sure that the smart contract is filled out correctly. So
Yep.
like your smart contract can be bulletproof, but Linda may be having a bad day going through a divorce and she just doesn't really feel like being all that thorough in her job.
She just
Yeah,
missed a
going
zero
from
that day.
Butterbean
Just missed a
to
zero, yeah.
Butterfingers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think really like we're going to see more over collateralization on DEXs to do trading. So DAI, for every DAI, you have to have $1.14. For every $1 of DAI you want minted, you have to have $1.14. So it costs you more money to print and mint DAI, but they're over collateralized, so they don't have this sort of shakeout problem
Yeah.
like the other coins do. And no one's asking for the DAI proof of reserves because we already know what it is. It's built
Exactly.
in. So you're going to
It's
see
already working.
Yes. So you're going to see this over collateralization in DEXs. And to me, proof of reserve is going to go away because all just BS, just marketing speak.
I agree.
You might be able to do proof of collateral, but really at that point, for like non-crypto assets. But really, if we're in crypto, we should just be collateralizing our crypto assets. But all of this speaks to just how freaking explosive the next bull run is going to be, because previous bull runs were like stratospheric because they were all on spot, right? It was mostly spot trading, right, TJ?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're still gonna have leverage and stuff like that, but it is gonna be over collateralized, and it's gonna be a lot less people going broke, doing their stuff. It's gonna be more like spot trading, and it's just gonna be so explosive. That combined with the first story you had about there being a supply squeeze already with Bitcoin. Holy crap, guys! When this issuance rate gets cut in half in 2024, hold on to your nutsack.
Is it 3.25 to, or is it
It's 6.5 right now, right? And it's go to 3.325.
something like that?
I think
Or
it's
is it
6.25. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is that?
it's
3.
It was 12 and a half,
Pi.
6.25. Yeah,
Pi,
3.125 basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is going to be so explosive in the next bull run, like melt your face off. And that's not even assuming they're going to turn on the money printer.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think once right now we are experiencing the shakeout. We're experiencing, everybody's in fear, everybody's in hold. But for the most part, I tend to agree. Most of the leverage has, that's what Arthur was talking about. Most of the people that could go bankrupt because they're leveraged to the hilt, most of that has been almost wiped away. And, outside of digital currency groups / Grayscale, which tends to be in a pretty good position as far as having backstops and time. And, that's kind of the last one. And if they're not going to go, then it feels like, okay, everybody's been shaken out at this point. Most of the miners have capitulated. Now it's time to start building back up. And if we do it through DEXs, through over collateralized, DEXs and DAOs, which DAOs I still think have a lot more time. I think we're going to see DEXs this next cycle really take off, like more than what we saw with Uniswap. And then DAOs, we had a handful of them this time. I think we're still going to be doing a lot of discovery with DAOs through the next bull run. I think we could have some blow up in 24, like get really, really big in 24 and 25, and then maybe even have just as a catastrophic correction as we have seen with ICOs, with NFTs, with each cycle, we've kind of had that one new tech that blows up and then kind of resets and then it finds its natural place. I think we're going to see that a lot in 23 or 24 and 25. And I think DEXs will be the ones that remain. DAOs will still have, again, I think it'll be interesting how you're going to regulate a DAO, right? Like we know how to regulate digital assets for the most part. We need some tweaks to the current stuff to allow for more digital assets. But I think DAOs are going to be very tough to regulate, and it's going to take a lot of thought. And I think getting that right, I think, will be something that happens more into the future. But
ChatGPT will tell us how.
Yeah,
exactly.
Crimson Caravan Company says, "Is it okay to leave my ETH on Lido?" Sorry, Ali, I did your job. My bad.
You're good.
All right, go for
I
it.
asked that question, but in an ugly way. She would have done it in a beautiful way. Leave your ETH on Lido. TJ, what do you think?
Not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah, but Lido is you do control the assets most of the time. You're dealing with wrapped synthetic assets. Yes and no. I mean, you're doing it at your own risk. It's not. There's still risk involved, obviously, but it's much less. It's less third party risk. There's you know, it's more just. But as far as we've seen, everything with Lido has operated and executed as it was designed and intended. There was some abuse, I would say, or like overuse that caused some of the issues that we saw. But realistically, it did what it was supposed to as a DeFi protocol. And that's what we've seen throughout this whole thing time and time again. Oh, hey, look at that. Is that live now?
Yes,
Nice.
it is.
Maybe we can go to that right after this.
Looking good.
Yeah, Ben is live on InfoWars right now with a live in studio with Mr. Jones himself. So I lost my train of thought. But basically...
Lido.
Oh, no, that's what I was saying. What we've seen time and time again through all of these meltdowns is DeFi has operated exactly as intended. It's executed. Things get paid back there first because they know if they don't, they're going to get liquidated. So DeFi has been clean and clear, where the centralized services have been opaque, disastrous, full of errors, and generally where most of our pain points come from. So, and that's why, again, I see decentralized exchanges. It is the future. It is... Centralized exchanges is really, in a lot of ways, just recreating what we already had for a digital asset instead of a stock or bond or whatever you want to use. But decentralized exchanges is really using blockchain technology the way it's supposed to be done. Centralized exchanges, I think, was a stopgap to get us the user experience we wanted in the speed that we wanted it. Decentralized exchanges are now the technology rising up that are going to allow, I think, crypto to do what crypto does. Because without having decentralization at its core, we will always be battling governments that want control, that want power, to Nick's point, that want to keep the lower class down and keep them in a place of control and safety and power. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's something, you hear me say this a lot. It really struck me when Andreas Antonopoulos said, government has one charter, one purpose, one function:
To stay in business.
to survive. And that's basically it. You want to stay in power. You don't want to get, overthrown by your people. You don't want to get overthrown by another leader or dictator. You're just supposed to stay alive and keep it in place. And unfortunately, that motivation or that incentive leads to a lot of very short-term thinking. It leads to a lot of bad policy that's designed to protect the select few rather than the whole, even though everything is done under the guise of the greater good. And this is better for all of us, when really,
Gotta protect the whole, baby.
Gotta protect the whole. They just don't tell you the whole is at the bottom of your pocket because they're taking all your money.
One thing.
Go ahead, Deck.
No, go for it. I was basically a quick thing. All I wanted to say is, on the side of centralized exchanges, I don't like centralized exchanges in general. We all love decentralization. However, there are a lot of people who aren't in crypto and who are barely in crypto. When they see an email sign up and a password, I can
used
see
to that.
That's real easy. As soon as we throw a private key at them and say, if you lose this, you lose all your money. I know just as a personal experience, my dad, my brother, anytime they want to send anything reasonable, they want me by their side when they press that send button.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, as much as I don't love all the things that centralized exchanges do, it's almost that necessary first step, because my first crypto experience was definitely not a DEX.
Yeah.
I didn't learn how to use Uniswap and DEXs until I worked here.
No,
I was like, what?
That's I mean, you're right. It is a necessary evil that we've needed in this space up until this point. I just think we've now hit a point with technology that we can start moving away from it. Now, it will take time. It's not going to be overnight. And I agree. Like, obviously, I used Gemini, I used Binance, I used Coinbase, I used all of those before I ever got to a decentralized exchange. And if you're not comfortable with digital assets, you're probably not going to be comfortable with a DEX on your first time purchase. I mean, that's just reality. And
I still think my first purchase feels kind of hilarious because I didn't know how to buy crypto whatsoever. Went to a Bitcoin ATM, tried to buy Cardano, which you couldn't buy in the US, found Bittrex.
Yep.
So literally had to do the seed phrase, didn't know why I was writing it down, which is really funny. I found it like a few weeks ago. There's nothing in there anymore. Yeah. Like, I moved everything, but I was like, hey, at least I, for some reason, saved this phrase, 5 years later. But yeah, literally USD to Bitcoin ATM to swinging to some shady place in Asia that I knew nothing about, and then buy Cardano.
Well, and that's a good point too that I didn't mention is most DEXs don't have on-ramp to fiat. and that's generally what you need a centralized exchange for, to interact with the legacy finance, payment rails, which those aren't going away anytime soon either. Eventually they will, and we won't have to interact there. You can just stay in that digital world, but they're gonna fight to keep control of that for a really long time, because that is, again, what gives them control, which is what all of this
He who
is
controls
about.
the gates.
Yeah, he who has the goals has the rules, as they say. So this is interesting. And speaking of those traditional payment rails, that's part of what the Strike app, I think, does extremely well. It definitely uses Lightning Network. This is Jack Mallers, for those of you who don't know. Probably, I would say, one of the leading voices and speakers when it comes to Bitcoin development, specifically on Litecoin Network. Obviously, there's a lot of other people who do that as well, but main speaker.
What did you say?
I didn't. Did I say I said Lightning.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Lightning Network. I was like, did I say Litecoin? I don't think I did, but
He's ready though.
So this was interesting. I just wanted to point this out real quick, because this does do a lot of what we were talking about there. The Strike Send globally feature is amazing. I just sent $5 from my US dollar balance to someone in Lagos, and under 2 minutes he received the value as, is it Nara, in his Nigerian account, and all I had to do was enter his phone number, bank account, bank name. So there's still obviously some KYC stuff here. But the craziest part is that Bitcoin
all I had
allows...
to do is totally dox myself. Great.
Well, I mean, look, if you're trying to get it into a bank account,
I know, I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah, you need
Not
the bank.
himself, the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy. But the craziest part is that Bitcoin allows us to send and receive value using the real and not official exchange rate, which means, if you guys travel a lot, there's exchange rates. They're always fluctuating. They're always changing. What you get in an airport, what you get in that country, what they say the exchange rate is definitely not the official, global exchange rate. If you're doing global remittances, they're trying to make some money there. So Bernard got 35.79 Nara, which is officially $8, even though he was only trying to send 5. On fiat rails, he would have gotten much less. Just to emphasize how much better this is, the receiver gets 715 YAR per dollar instead of the official rate of 444, which you can see is way less. Yeah. It happens in a minute or two, virtually no fees, no need to deal with exploitative middlemen like Western Union, which, if you guys don't know, they charge, I think it's 25% or something insane to do international remittances like that, which people get eaten up sending money, back to family or whatever. So this service is available for Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. Around 300 million people. We're talking more than 100 million people who can now receive instant price-protected transfers from the U.S. Bitcoin will eventually obsolete the fiat system. For now, it helps upgrade it, which I think that's really cool. This is something to celebrate. And it's, I talk about a lot in bear markets is when you'll see stuff like this happen. It's not going to change anything overnight, but it definitely will have an impact over time. It's all done through the Lightning Network right now, which we know isn't, it's got its weak points, I guess, or areas that need to be improved for sure. But I did just want to point that out. The more we can, because that's what's coolest about the Strike app, is it does interoperably interact with fiat rails and Bitcoin Lightning rails, which that is a pretty key piece we're going to have to get nailed for decentralized exchanges to really get where they need to go.
Nail the rail.
Obviously, Bitcoin peer-to-peer payment, trying to push that narrative forward. That's a big part of Strike and Lightning Network. I mean, do you got anybody have strong opinions on Lightning Network, pro or con? I am kind of mixed, to be honest.
I just would never spend my Bitcoin. So unless it's a peer-to-peer transaction, like I pay my buddy, I think it's awesome, the way it works, but I'm just, in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to be spending my Bitcoin.
I think Bitcoin has found its bread and butter as a store of value. And if we want an actual cryptocurrency that's decentralized to use as a money, just use Litecoin. That's what it's there for. Bitcoin's so good as a store of value. Why are you going to spend Satoshis right now? They're going to, 10, 20, 30x in the next 10 years. I just don't get it. Just use Litecoin.
Or ADA.
Yeah.
But ADA's a little bit more difficult.
It's not as much as a payments token.
Yeah, I don't view ADA as a money. ADA is, a smart contract platform. Litecoin, through and through, is a money. It's not a store of value. It's pretty darn decentralized. And it just has better tokenomics. It's now that Justin Sun's out of it. Wait, no, that's not right. Other Sun, right?
Charlie Lee,
sorry. Yeah, now that Charlie Lee's out of it.
Yeah,
it's
he sold
like-
all his at the Pico top. Congratulations, Charlie.
But and then Litecoin survived. So I think I think Litecoin does have this sort of like instantaneous layer 2. I don't know what it's called though. They should call it like Quicksilver.
We talking about Litecoin? Your privacy layer, Mimble?
No, they need a quick payments layer like Lightning.
Quick payments.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like we were talking in the spaces last week. There's Sailorism and there's Maulerism. Like I think Sailorism is the way to go for Bitcoin. That's the future of Bitcoin. No one should sell their Bitcoin, really.
Yeah, I remember reading one of these Bitcoin, or not, I think it was basically one of these Bitcoin books. I don't remember if it was Bitcoin Standard, but it talked about how in ancient Rome, and I'm sure you guys have heard this 1,000 times, when they started legitimately debasing their currency, putting more silver and whatnot into it, people just kept the gold in chests, like hoarded it because quote unquote, the government said they had the same value, but everybody knew that the ones with the all gold, were worth
Well, I
more.
would say probably the smart people, probably the knights and the ladies and the lords, and probably not the commoner. Probably most people like, oh, okay, I got paid, I'll save this. But like the really smart people, like, oh, wait a minute, I got this gold, I need to stash it somewhere, and then they slowly, their family was able to advance through society. So real quick, all right, we got to wrap up here. Last question I wanted to ask you guys.
Get me out of here for XRP people.
This was a good question from Altcoin Daily, and heading into a bear market or not, or depending on whether you think the bottom is in or not, are you willing to downgrade your lifestyle for a year or two to have a lifestyle you'd want forever? Nick, you're saying hard yes.
Absolutely.
Decker,
Of course,
Yeah.
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You wanna say yes.
I want to say yes.
but is the answer actually yes?
I think practicing the mindset of poverty or whatever you want to call it is pretty hard. It's easier said than done.
I don't think they're saying poverty. I
Well,
think
no,
they're
I'm just saying in my brain, I'm just,
cut back.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't own
To my-
4,000 bottles of cologne.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
Like
hey,
I
hey.
sold my 2021 Ford Bronco.
There you
Like
go.
I could afford it, and I was doing fine. But I wanted more dry powder. I wanted less exposure to debt, so I could stack hell's crypto during this bear market.
That's
so,
awesome.
And
That's
didn't
good.
you
and I
double
waited
2x
2 years
on
for that
thing?
damn thing. What?
Didn't you 2x on it?
Well, yeah, I made profit on it. I'm not an
Yeah.
idiot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you
No, I mean,
made
no,
a lot
that's,
of
I
money.
think it's really smart. I'm actually looking at doing something similar. I'm considering,
a Geo Metro.
no, I own my house cash, and I'm considering selling it right now and then buying something back in 24 and 25, which would be the second time I sold my house for Bitcoin in a bear market. Worked out pretty good. Like the first time, obviously I didn't own my house cash, was able to buy my house cash after doing it. So if I do that again,
Maybe 2 houses.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. No, verdict's still out. We'll see what's happening. But it does come down to like, hey, are you willing to live with less for a year or two in order to set yourself up for the rest of your life? I tend to believe this bear market, whether you think it's going to be right now through all of next year, or you think we're going to be going up in 24 or 25 or whenever that is, I think the decisions you make over the next 12 months can set you up for the next 20 years.
Yep.
And so keep that in mind. Those who, and there's a lot in this when it comes to time preference. If you guys listen to the Bitcoin Standard, they talk about time preference a lot. I think they call it the marshmallow test or something with kids, where they,
Let's look at the last comment. Ali's sitting there like, please don't bet our house on Bitcoin, TJ.
it's all right, riddled with puns. It works out well.
I trust TJ.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
It's all
We all
about
do.
trust. Trust me, don't verify me. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Always verify
TJ
everything we
needs
say.
proof of house.
Proof of house. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. If you guys have any words of wisdom for the chat, Nick, one little nugget for them to take away for this week.
The nugget for this week is, look, it's the holidays. Protect your mentals. Try journaling. Try taking walks. Like, let's really focus on your mental health and connecting with loved ones. And if you don't have loved ones, or you're just estranged from your family, like, get involved with a church family.
That's fired.
Yeah, no, but seriously, get involved with a church family. Churches of any faith would love to have you walk through their front door, and they are totally willing to just listen to you and like welcome you into their community. And now's the time of year to do that.
There you go.
That's
Just remember
great
what we're doing it
advice.
for. I think that was something I was thinking about last week. It's like, what are we doing this all for?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
for that. Exactly.
Exactly.
Live, laugh, love, right?
Laugh. I
just
prefer to laugh, live, love.
Laugh, live, love, laugh, live. I don't know. No, yeah, I think it's a really good point, guys. There's a lot to be grateful for. Bitcoin gives us a shot at freedom. It gives us all sorts of different things that we probably wouldn't have had without it. I think family and people, right? We're here to interact with people. We're here to not only change our lives, change the lives of people around us, change the lives of people that we care about. So yeah, I think that's really good advice this holiday season. Obviously, number one advice, be here tomorrow. We're going to be back. Same time. Hang out with us in the basement because there's nobody cooler than us. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So if you get
Definitely.
cryptic, you better blow up my grinder inbox, baby. You know it.
Is anybody live right now? Hit Gaming or
Yeah.
They're not. I'm gonna go to Dr. Degen.
Amaranth.
Dotrobin.
Dr. Degen.
Oh.
Yeah, or okay, that works. And
Live,
then,
laugh, Rammstein.
what's that?
Live, laugh, Rammstein.
Cheers, guys.
Rammstein.
Ben is in InfoWars right now. Go to InfoWars and check it out. He's live right now with Mr. Jones 7591. He'll be back tomorrow though.
That's right.
You guys see? Oh man, no, I don't. I wanted to talk about that.
What?
Charles Hoskinson said Ripple or case could be settled on the 15th. I don't think that's going to
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tune in
That would
tomorrow.
be something.
Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok.